Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Larkins and we're going to do a lesson on decimal adding and subtracting. So this is a review from 5th and 6th grade. You'll be writing down 3 things in your notes today, and just a reminder, this is an example of not showing your work. You don't just write the problem side by side and then use a calculator and put down that answer. That's not showing your work. You need to make sure that you are, doing the problem, regrouping when necessary, and showing all your work, not just using a calculator and putting down on your paper and thinking that's showing your work. All right, let's get started. So adding and subtracting decimals, you need to make sure that you are lining up the decimals. That is the most important thing. You don't line up the numbers, you line up the decimals, and then when you solve the problem, you bring your decimals straight down into your answer. You might need to have some zeros for placeholders, and I'll show you that here in just a second. And then just a reminder, whole numbers, they have a decimal at the end of the ones. So you have to remember that there's like an invisible decimal there, and you might have to put a decimal and then add a 0 for a placeholder. Okay, go ahead and push pause and write down all of these rules that we need to remember when we are adding and subtracting decimals, and then push play when you're ready to continue. All right, for our first example, we have 2.12 plus 9. I wanted to show you what this looks like when I go and grab this 9. A lot of kids think that they put that 9 right there, and they would be wrong. They'd get the answer wrong. What we need to remember is there is an invisible decimal on whole numbers. 9 is 9.0. So when we go to put this problem in our addition and we're lining up our decimals, we need to remember that there is an invisible decimal right after that 9, and we're going to have to put 2 zeros for placeholders. That's what I was talking about with the placeholders. So it should be 2.12 plus 9.00. All right, this is a very easy question. 2, bring your decimals straight down into your answer, and then 2 plus 9 is 11. So once again, just remember, when you see a whole number, there is an invisible decimal right after the ones place. All right, for our next example, I've got a subtraction question here. We have 0.1 and we're subtracting 0.036. Now, just because this one has more numbers in it does not make it the biggest number. We do place value closest to the decimal. So this is 1/10. This is 0/10. So this is actually the biggest number. So when we go and set up our problem, we're going to put the 0.1 on the top, and then we're going to line up our decimals. So this is what I'm talking about. So we line up our decimals, and because this has a 1 in the tenths, it's actually a larger number. Let's go put in some placeholders with zeros. All right, you cannot subtract 6 from 0, so you have to go and borrow or regroup. You can't borrow from a 0, so you have to go way over here, cross off the 1. We're going to leave 0, but we're going to put the 1 over here in this. So now it's a 10. And we still need some over here, so we're going to borrow, leaving a 9, and leaving this as a 10. My pen is a little too dark, so it's hard to see. All right, so we have 10 minus 6, which is a 4, and then 9 minus 3, which is a 6, and 0 minus 0. And remember, we bring our decimal straight down. And so our answer is 64 thousandths. According to place value, that word would be thousandths. Okay, go ahead and pause. If you were not doing the problems with me, push pause and write down those examples, and then push play when you're ready to continue. Okay, it is your turns. Go ahead and click on pause, write down these 2 questions, and then push play when you are ready to begin. On this first one, don't forget there's an invisible decimal on that number 25. All right, I am going to head, and you don't have to put them in order from like greatest to least. I'm just going to start with the 6.5. And with my 25, I'm going to remember that my decimal is after the 25. And then I'm going to put another decimal down here and make sure my 37 is here. So we have two numbers on the bottom. So I'm going to put 2 zeros here. And I'm going to put a placeholder on that 6.5. By adding zeros to the right of the number after the decimal, it does not make the number bigger. It's the same value. All right, since we're adding, we do not need to regroup. 0 plus 0 plus 7 is 7. 5 plus 0 plus 3 is 8. Drop down that decimal straight down into your answer. And then 6 plus 5 is 11. Carry the 1. And 2 plus 1 is 3. So our answer is 31.87, or 31 and 87 hundredths. All right, for letter B, again, we are going to line up our decimals. So I like to put my decimal in first and then line up the numbers accordingly. And it looks like we're going to need a placeholder in our first number there. All right, 0 plus 2. 2 plus 8, carry 10 plus 1, 4, 5, 51.02, or 51 and 2 hundredths. All right, one more time. Go ahead and push pause. These are 2 subtraction questions. And then push play to check your work with me. Make sure you're using a pencil just in case you need to erase your mistakes. All right. Again, the 42 hundredths is larger than this 18 ten thousandths. So we're going to put that 42 first. And I know I'm going to need some zeros. So 0, 0, and then 1, 8. So I'm going to put 2 zeros here. And let me pick a smaller, thinner pen. Okay, so you can't take 8 from nothing, so go borrow from the 2, and 9, and 10. 10 minus 8 is 2, 9 minus 1 is 8, 1 minus 0 is 1, and 4 minus 0 is 4. Bring down your decimal, and you should put a 0 in the ones. I will not mark it wrong if you just have a decimal 4182, but it is more proper, I guess, to have that 0 in the ones place. All right, we're going to line up our decimals. 27.001, lining up our decimals, 7.5. All right, let's go and here we go. We're going to put 2 placeholder zeros there. 1 minus 0 is 1. All right. You cannot take 5 from 0, so you have to go borrow. Cross it off, we'll leave it 6, and this is 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. Drop down your decimal. 6 minus 7, can't do that. 16 minus 7 is 9. And 1 minus 0. So our answer is 19.501. All right, I hope that helped. We'll see you soon.